Give everybody a chance to tap in with the kid before I start building on the subject matter for the day. Hopefully, y'all got about 30, 40 minutes. Chop it up with the kid, man. We're not going to be long today, man. I just want to elaborate on something that I posted yesterday. Give y'all some clarity, some insight, because I feel like it was misinterpreted in regards to what I was building on yesterday in that little community board or community post, whatever you call that joint. So I'm gonna give y'all about 2 or 3 minutes, man, to come in, tap in with the kid, man. We gonna start building on this subject matter, man. So hopefully y'all having a powerful Sunday. I ain't gonna hold y'all too long, man. I just want to elaborate, bring some clarity to this particular subject matter, man. Because like I said, I feel like it was some misunderstandings going on here. Shakira, peace, what's happening? What's happening? And kind of what happened is the book that I was reading, kind of what happened, the way people misinterpreted is exactly what the book was talking about. So it was like an experiment that went well. Chris, peace, what's happening, my brother? What's the word? How everybody living? How everybody feeling? Miss Naya, peace, what's happening? What's the word? And these are Shaquille, peace, what's happening? These are more of my type of conversations, encouraging people to think, So that's right up my alley, man. Just encouraging people to think, not telling you what to think, but just getting you thinking, making that mind work, giving y'all something to ponder on and things like that. But I just want to really talk about the bad rap, complex design piece, what's happening, the bad rap that our instincts have, because I mentioned the word instinct in that post last night, and again, people took that the wrong way, which I kind of knew that was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? But that's what was being discussed in the stuff that I was reading yesterday, man. Just a bad rap that our instincts have. And again, as humans, we like to place labels on things. We like to label things good or bad, positive or negative. And that's trash. And we did that. We do that to our instincts. We label our instincts as something that's bad, whether it's unconscious or conscious. So the moment I said something about listening to our instincts, then people took that the wrong way. But it's like your instincts are not necessarily something that's negative. Your instincts are not necessarily something that's bad. When you are in tune, when you tap in with yourself, then your instincts can save your life. I know I'm not the only person that has been in a situation to where my instincts have saved me. Where when I was lost as a kid, man, my instincts led me in the direction of being able to find my way back home. Instincts on a deeper subconscious level, like your instincts are in association or in alignment with your unconscious. So your heartbeat, you know what I'm saying? You breathing, blinking, all of these things are instinctive, man. So instincts keeping you alive, like your instincts are the reason why, like your bodily instincts are the reason why you are alive right now. It's the reason why your heart beats. It's the reason why you are breathing. Just imagine if you had to think to breathe. Just imagine if we had to think to blink. Just imagine if we had to do that. The way we forget, you know what I'm saying? The way we forget, that's why the body operates like that. The body already know, like I say, we say the body is all wise and intelligent. The body knows, like, listen, we can't leave it up to individuals in order for us to keep the heart beating, for us to blink, for us to breathe. Like, if you had to think about that, you would forget. you would forget. You would forget to breathe. We forget to do essential things. So just imagine if we had to think to breathe and to keep the heart beating. Like, nah, we'd forget. We'd just kill ourselves because we forgot to breathe. So it's like the body made that instinctive, man. It's your instincts, man. Your instincts are not something that's bad. Yes, now of course, which I didn't feel like I had to point out that obvious, but of course, we're not telling you to be solely driven by your instincts. Like, we're not telling you, oh, you need to be 100% driven by your instincts. No. What I was reading yesterday was talking about the bad rap that our instincts have. When we talk about intuition, when we talk about intellect, people don't uh people don't view those things negatively, typically. So we can talk about intuition, we can talk about intellect, and there's not a lot of negativity, not a lot of negativity associated with those concepts, with those words. But the moment you say instincts, that's when people start saying, oh, that's animalistic to be driven by your instincts. What's wrong? What's wrong with the animal? Like I said, you can study nature, you can study the animals and learn a lot about yourself. So again, just because you may have an animalistic aspect to yourself doesn't necessarily make that bad. Again, bad rap. Bad rap. We got to stop viewing things like that, man. That animalistic nature can save you. can save you, man. Analyze the animals out here. Listen, saying something is animalistic is not saying something is dumb. It's not saying something is lower, because there's some animals out here that can do things that we cannot do. You know what I'm saying? The animals can tap in a way that we can't tap in. When you got a dog and it's a tornado brewing, man, that dog gonna start acting crazy because that dog is tapped into the frequency. So that dog can let you know that, hey, something is coming before you even know, before we even tapped in, before we know. You know, so again, saying something is animalistic in regards to speaking to humans, man, we take that as that's something that's derogatory, but it's not necessarily that. Eddie, peace, appreciate that donation. Montel, peace, what's happening? Ray, peace. Kurt, peace, what's happening? D Monty, exactly. Your instincts when you sleep, and you gotta use the back, like you know what I'm saying. All of that is instincts, man. So again, who then told somebody that that's negative and that's bad? But again, that's why I said we tend to complicate things. We tend to complicate things. But again, the little passage that I was reading in his book, in that passage, he was talking about, the animals being driven by instincts in regards to religion, philosophical discussions. And they was talking about, the animals being driven by the instincts, and they not really worried about any gods, any priests, any religions. You don't have you don't have Hindu lions. You don't have Christian lions. You don't have Muslim lions. Just imagine that. I got a Muslim lion. This group of lions over here don't eat pork. This group over here does. So we about to kill each other because of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what he was talking about in this particular book. And if we listen to our instincts in regards to some of those things and these concepts, we wouldn't even be entertaining some of that. Our very early ancestors were not entertaining discussions in religion or in regards to religion and philosophies and things like that, because they had to survive. They didn't have time for these type of discussions. And that's exactly what he was talking about. And how we tend to complicate things with, intellect, knowledge, and kind of disregarding the instincts. So again, that's what he was talking about in regards to the passage that I was reading in a particular book. Again, when you look at the animal kingdom, you don't have any division like that. You don't have a group of lions debating another group of lions in regards to who God is the right God to worship. You do not have that. That's not happening. Like, you don't have that. I don't think I've ever seen lions with a YouTube channel and they are debating whose religion is correct. Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe y'all have tapped into some lions on YouTube debating about which lion religion is the best. You know what I'm saying? Y'all can let me know if I'm wrong, but I don't think I've ever came across that. And that's what he was talking about in regards to this subject matter. Montel, man, everything is peace. Chris, exactly. And again, like even in that book, he associated the instincts with the unconscious, which again, that's what it is. Your breathing, you know what I'm saying? Your heartbeat, your digestive system, all of these things are ran unconsciously. Because again, if we had to think in order for these things to be able to function properly, we would not make it long. If you had to think for your digestive system to work properly, just imagine if you had to think like, all right, we're going to eat this food, and then you had to think about that whole entire process. If you didn't think about the whole process of assimilation, digestion, absorption, things like that, if you had to think in order for those systems to be activated, man, we would not last long at all. So the body was like, yeah, we know how that goes. So let's make this unconscious. So they don't have to think about it. So he don't have to think about breathing. So he don't have to think about breaking this food down. We gonna do it for you automatically. It's instincts. You know what I'm saying? That's the unconscious aspect. Then you get to the intellectual aspect of life. You know what I'm saying? And that's where a lot of us get stuck on right there, and that's associated with the conscious mind, the consciousness, I ain't even gonna say consciousness. That's just the conscious mind. D Monty, what you say? Could you argue that people have different consciousness based on instincts? Probably so. Yeah, I wouldn't deny that. I wouldn't sweep that under the rug and say that's not a possibility. Most definitely. But I think when it comes to consciousness, I think that's where like intuition comes into play. That intuition. I think intuition, that's when I think the different levels of consciousness come into play when we start talking about like intuition. And a lot of times when a topic of intuition pops up, normally the conversation revolves around women's intuition, but it's a lot of brothers that's tapped in. It's a lot of brothers that have strong intuitions, and a lot of people don't talk about that. It's almost like we done made that a female thing. Like, man, only women can have intuition, women's intuition. Nah, it's brothers that's tapped in too. Like, it's brothers that have a powerful and strong intuition. That's not something that's just associated with women. Nah, brothers have intuition also. So I don't know why that is viewed that way, but based on my observation and experience, like a lot of times when people bring up that word or that concept of intuition, it's associated with women. And that's incorrect. You have brothers that's just as tapped in regards to the intuition. Just as tapped in. But yeah, D Monty, I wouldn't deny that. I would deny that. I could definitely see that. Most definitely. But yeah, man, the instincts got a bad rap, man. Very bad rap. Very, very bad rap. Again, when you are in tune, when all of these things are lined up, are in alignment with one another, man, your instincts very well will serve you. Your instincts serve you on a day-to-day basis. Again, like that's the reason why, as we said, that's the reason why you wake up, man. Your body got that internal clock. You know what I'm saying? Like that's instincts. Your body, like, listen, it's time to wake up. You know what I'm saying? That's instincts kicking in. So we need to point out the pros of the instincts, because a lot of people just focused on the cons and made it seem like we just talking about being driven by your instincts. No, your instincts serve a purpose. There's a time and place to let your instincts be in control. It's a time and place for that. Then it's a time and a place for your intellect to be in control. And it's a time and place where you have to listen to that intuition. It's a time and place for all of that. Just like they say, it's a time for war, it's a time for peace. It's a time for you to listen to them instincts. It's a time and place for it. It's a time and place for you to say, all right, man, I'm gonna let the intellect take the wheel right now. Then it's a time and place to say, you know what, let me tap into this intuition. Let me tap into this intuition and see what's going on. And all your instincts, when you look up the word, like there's really nothing negative in that definition. When you look up the word instincts, there's nothing negative in that definition or description. So I don't even understand why it has a bad rap. That's like an innate fixed pattern of behavior. And in regards to a response to a certain stimuli, like that's like the definition. I'm paraphrasing it, but that's like the definition of instincts, like an innate fixed pattern of behavior in response to certain stimuli. Where is the negativity in that? If my instincts are simply just an innate fixed pattern of behavior in response to certain stimuli, nothing is negative about that. Nothing is negative about that at all. Basically that sounds like a habit, making something habitual because it's fixed. So that's what a habit is. So if you form good habits, then those good habits that you have formed have become your instincts, because again, that's an innate fixed pattern of behavior. That's what a habit is. It's a fixed pattern of behavior that has become innate because of repetition. So again, you know what I'm saying? If that's the definition, then you can utilize that definition and you can make your instincts work for you. Just like we say, make your money work for you. You can make your instincts work for you by forming better habits. The problem is we have trash habits, and these trash habits these trash habits form our instincts. That becomes the problem. That becomes the problem. We could talk about, and this is how I can this is not the analogy but the comparison or the breakdown that I have in regards to that. Because in one instance you could have somebody, man, that grew up in a toxic environment, chaotic environment, just destruction, fighting, all of that. So when they come across a situation where somebody is talking crazy to them, their instincts is telling them to hit the person in the face. Whereas a person may have come up in a totally peaceful environment around some monks or something, and their instincts when somebody is talking crazy is telling them to just leave. So again, not everybody has the same set of instincts. We can encounter the same situation, and your instincts could say, man, punch that person in the face, and my instincts could say, walk away. It ain't that serious. So we're not gonna all respond to the same situation the same. So we don't have the same set of instincts. You know, it depends on how you're programmed. It depends on your upbringing. It depends on, you know, the knowledge that you have accumulated over time via your experiences, via things you have read, you know, things like that. It all revolves around that. So we don't all respond to things the same because we don't all come from the same background and same type of environment. And even if we come from the same type of environment, don't necessarily mean we still gonna respond the same. So again, all instincts are it's an innate fixed pattern of behavior in response to certain stimuli. That's it. That's all it is. That's all it is. Don't complicate that definition. Please don't. That's what we tend to do. We tend to complicate things. Let's not complicate that definition. By definition, nothing is bad about that. That's the definition. My brother Kwame, peace, what's happening? D Monty, for sure. And hey, a lot of hey, a lot of people fear it. That's one of the reasons why people are afraid of death. Antoinette, peace, what's happening? A lot of people are afraid of death because at the end of the day, I don't care what you follow. I don't care what you subscribe to. At the end of the day, nobody knows what happens. Nobody knows. You could subscribe to any theory that you want, but it's simply that a theory. Nobody knows what happens after you die. Nobody knows. All we have a bunch of theories and things like that you want to subscribe to, believe, whatever the case. But the fact of the matter is nobody knows. That's why a lot of people, it's a very select few who don't actually fear death. You know, but for the most part, the average person, that's why they fear something like death, because it's unknown. You do not know what happens. It's a mystery. You know what I'm saying? So instead of embracing that, like we fear that. Like we fear that. I feel like embracing the unknown is a beautiful part of life. Embracing mysteries is a beautiful part of life. For one, when you start embracing certain mysteries and certain things that are unknown, you strive to find out, or you strive to solve the mystery. You know what I'm saying? And that's beautiful. When you have something that's mysterious and you strive to solve it, man, you're gonna come across all type of different pieces of information, clues, just all type of tools that you can use for enlightenment. But instead of us viewing things like that, we fear it. So when we fear it, we don't want to face it. We don't want to embrace it. We want to run from it. Like, nah, like stop doing that, man. Embrace these things that are mysterious. That's one of the reasons why I like suspense movies, you know? That's one of the reasons why I like things like that, man. Like I like mystery movies because you got to solve something, you know? You don't know what's happening next. You got to try to figure it out. Like I enjoy that, you know? Life could be the same way, but we tend to complicate. We tend to complicate it. I will say that's one thing that we like to do. We like to complicate things, man. Things could be way more simple than they are for us these days, but man, we just overly complicate matters. And we have got to stop doing that because that's what's leading to a lot of stress. That's what's leading to a lot of disease, man. We complicate things. Like when people come to me in regards to what I do, losing weight, you know, just getting in shape, man, getting in shape, period. A lot of people make that something that like they make that extra complicated. We don't need to just stop doing that. That's when your instincts need to kick in. That's what I'm talking about. Like your instincts, like you already know that you should not have eaten that candy. Like you know that. You know what I'm saying? You went against that. Like your like don't eat that. You already know. You knew it was bad. That's the reason why the moment you grabbed it, you regretted it. You regretted it. But you start having this conversation in your head. You start telling yourself you're stressed. You start telling yourself life is hard. So I'm gonna eat comfort food. Just like this is what you're telling yourself. So no, it's not your instincts that caused you to grab that candy or those chips. Nah, it's you complicating matters. Saying, well, I'm stressed. And the only way to deal with this stress is to eat this candy. Like, nah, man. Like, come on now. Magic, peace, what's happening? So we just got to make sure everything is in alignment when it comes to like the instincts, the intellect, intuition, things like that. You know, when you tap in with yourself, like all of these things will serve you well when you tap in. Your instincts will serve you well when it's time for them to kick in. Your intellect will serve you well when it's time for that to kick in. And intuition will serve you well when it's time for that to kick in. When you tap in with yourself, when you are not tapped in, all of these things may work against you. The way the intellect works against you is you overthink. That's the way the intellect works against you. You overthink. And I know I got a lot of people that tend to overthink. We didn't accumulated all of this information. We now understand the powerful ability to think, and now it's now working against us because now you faced with a simple decision, but yet the decision is not so simple because you just overthinking this process. You overthinking the decision. It's a real simple decision. Something like exercising. Why is that a complicated decision? Like, you complicating that by overthinking it. You need to, like, exercise. This is not up for debate. Saying the negotiation. You need to exercise. So decide to do it. You need to eat better. So decide to do it. But the moment you start thinking about doing those things, man, you finna talk yourself right out of it. Instead, do what you need to do. Again, you need to exercise. The human body, like, the body needs to move, and you know this. And you know this, so it's no sense of going against the grain, going against the body. Let the body do what it was designed to do. Let the body move. Motion is medicine. You say I should watch the movie Fog. Man, I feel like I've seen that movie. I can't recall though, man. I'm gonna have to tap back in, but I feel like I've seen that. I feel like I've seen that. Queen Lady Lachelle, peace, what's happening? I feel like I've seen that movie, man. I can't remember though. Since I can't remember if I've seen it, I'm gonna have to watch it again. That's what you do when you can't remember if you saw a movie or not, you know. But yeah, man, I'm trying to get people to be in alignment, man, with all aspects of yourself. Because all of these aspects make up the same self. You know, that's why people start talking about they got a lower self and a higher self. At the end of the day, it's part of the same self. Slick chick, peace, what's happening? So I don't care what you call it. Hey, you could be like, I'm operating from this lower self. I'm operating from this higher self. Guess what? It's the same exact self, man. You didn't split yourself in half, man. It's all the same self. That's what holistic health is about. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna chop myself in half and make one part of myself seem inferior to the other part. I don't need to do that. I don't need to do that at all. It serves me no purpose to view things like that. You know what I'm saying? And I know that's an unpopular perspective because a lot of people like talking about higher selves and lower selves. I'm one of the chosen few that don't care to do that. I'm not going to talk about a lower self that I have versus a higher self because that lower self that you're talking about, that lower self at a point in your life could be your higher self. It can serve that higher purpose for you. And that higher self at points in your life can be your lower self. It can function as your lower self because, again, you so caught up on this higher self that now you're not even grounded. You don't even know how to deal with reality. Y'all know the type of people that I'm talking about. You need to come back down to earth because you're trying to operate on this higher plane all the time. Like, nah, like now that higher self has become the lower self. Again, it's all the same self, man. It's all the same exact self. So again, I don't need to divide that up. I don't need to look at myself split in half and say, "Good, okay, you got this higher self, you got this lower self." Nah, what's the point of that? What's the point of taking this body and say you got this part and you got this part, but it's from the same exact body? I don't even understand why I need to do that. Because, like I said, it's been moments in my life where that so-called lower self that y'all talk about, that animalistic nature, it has saved me. So at those moments, that lower self was not lower; it was higher. You know what I'm saying? So again, like, I don't do that. I don't do that at all. Andre, peace. What's happening? Man, Kurt, man, I used to operate on Facebook. As far Facebook is getting interesting, man. I talked about that one of my last streams, but Facebook is getting interesting, man. We living in a world where all you got to do now is have a Facebook page and you can get paid out here. So this is what I predict. This is what I predict because we already know, like, Facebook was going downhill. The algorithms was trash, and people was coming to other platforms, TikTok, YouTube, and they making decent money. Facebook don't like that. Now, you was always able to make a little money on Facebook. and things like that, but not to the extent that you're able to make it via uploading videos and things like that on YouTube and TikTok. So now Facebook is about to change their whole algorithm and they structure. They trying to get more people to tap back in and create content on their platform. So again, I feel like Facebook about to change up their whole structure, and the algorithms and all of that's about to change. Like back in the day, hey, more than 3 to 5% of people saw your content. It still wasn't a very high percentage, but it was higher than 3 to 5%. So I think they're gonna get back to the point where it's like, man, 10, 15, 20% of the people that's following you gonna be able to see your content. And the way they trying to do that is to make it easy to monetize your Facebook. So you're gonna see a lot more people start gravitating toward putting content on Facebook because they're able to get paid, and to get monetized on Facebook ain't that complicated. From what I'm seeing, from what I have experienced. So you about to see that, shift. You about to see that shift for sure. Ray, peace, what's happening? Yeah, man, I'm saying being grounded is definitely essential, man. Balance is the key. So again, when you take yourself and split it in half and say, I got an upper half, I got an upper higher self, and I got a lower self, what are you telling me? What are you telling me? Because it's all aspects of the same exact self. So I don't even need to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't need to do that at all. I got one self, and this one self has a multitude of different emotions, feelings, energies, vibe, frequencies, whatever you want to call it. It's all stemming from that one self. You know what I'm saying? It's stemming from that one self. That's what holistic health. It's the reason why the word whole is in there. Holistically, you don't just feed a higher self, you don't just feed a lower self, you feed the entire self. And this is one of the reasons why I don't like Western medicine, because they don't view things holistically. Oh, you have a headache, let's just treat the headache at that level. No, you have a headache because something is off internally. So when you treat that headache holistically, then you're able to get to the root cause of why you got the headache in the first place, and it has something to do with your internal environment. But if you just treat the headache at that level, here, take this ibuprofen, take an aspirin, take some pain medicine to get rid of the headache, because all we doing is addressing the symptom. That's what happens when you start dividing things up instead of looking at it holistically. Like, nah, I'm going to view this holistically. I got a headache. That means internally my environment is off. So let me fix it. Let me eat the right foods to fix my internal environment, to make it a little more alkaline, because that's the reason why the headache was able to thrive in the first place, because it needed a toxic environment. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to treat it at the headache level and just alleviate, you know what I'm saying, the symptom of a headache. I'm not doing that. No, I got a headache because internally my environment is toxic. It's acidic. So I need to address that before I just address the headache simply. So again, people don't understand that. Kenyatta, peace, what's happening? Clocks in, peace, what's the word? So if you strive to reverse an ailment, an illness, you can't treat it at the level where the pain or where the disease is manifesting. You know what I'm saying? You got to treat the whole entire body. That's the only way to reverse anything. That's the only way to prevent anything. You got to treat it. You got to treat the entire body. You got to treat the entire mind. So that's what it's about. Homeostasis, balance. That's what the body strives for every day. Like, and by any means, that body is going to reach that balanced state. Even if it has to strip vitamins and minerals from the bones and things like that, it's going to reach that state of homeostasis. So again, that's how you gotta operate, that's how you gotta function, from a place of balance. Being driven by oneself is not balance. If you just say, well, I'm dealing with my higher self, that's not balance. I'm just lower self, it's not balance. Like, nah, balance is bringing both of those halves together and functioning from that space and from that level. So that's what balance is all about. That's health. That's what it means to be holistic. You know what I'm saying? So again, I ain't dividing anything up. It's unnecessary. Very unnecessary, and this type of stuff gets us in trouble. And that's what we're talking about in regards to humans complicating things, man. We complicate things. And even when even when I made the post last night in regards to the passage that I had read, And shout out to all the people that commented and didn't necessarily agree with it. That's cool. But that actually proved the point that the author was making. That's how we complicate things. Instead of just looking at what I said, you looked at what I said from a place of judgment. Like, nah, what you said is wrong. What you saying is right or wrong. Like, I wasn't even throwing it out there to tell y'all to follow y'all instincts 100%. If you would have really read what I was saying, like, that's not what I was insinuating. For one, I was sharing some information that I came across. So instead of us viewing it like that, like this brother came across some information and I'm just going to embrace it, that's not what we tend to do. As humans, it's in our nature to be a lot of times disagreeable. So it's like when somebody posts something, we looking to see if I agree with this or not. It shouldn't have to be like that all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, life ain't really about that all the time. But that's how we are wired. We looking at things from a point of, do I disagree with this or do I agree with this or not? Like, nah, just take what I said for what I said and move on, keep it pushing. I'm not saying something for you to agree with it. I'm not saying something for you to disagree with it. I'm sharing things with people. Like, I'm sharing, like, whether it's my experience or whether it's information that I come across. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not speaking from a standpoint of you need to agree with what I'm saying or you need to disagree. Bruce Lee, empty the cup. That's what that means, man. You have got to eliminate prejudices. You have got to eliminate your biases when you are when you just even analyzing what somebody is saying. And I can take this to relationships. This is one of the reasons why black men and women, we can't get together. You know what I'm saying? We can't stop feeding into the agenda. Because again, we making statements and people are so-called not even listening to the statements. They reading the statements from a point of I disagree or I agree. It ain't about that. When you got another side that you trying to coexist with, just listen to what they saying, man. You listening to what somebody is saying and not responding doesn't necessarily mean you agree with it, man. You simply listening to this person's experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all. Somewhere down the line, we think if we listen to somebody, then that means we got to agree with what they saying. That's not what that means, man. If I'm saying, all right, if I tell black men, y'all need to start listening to black women more, somebody gonna get mad. Like I just told black men, y'all need to listen. Y'all need to listen. Y'all need to agree with everything a black woman is saying. All I said was listen, and vice versa. If I tell black women, man, y'all need to just listen to what black men are saying, somebody gonna get emotional and say and act like I just said. Y'all need to agree with everything these brothers are saying. All I said was listen. That's it. Like, I hear you. If I'm listening to you, obviously it has something to do with your experience. You know what I'm saying? Your experience, your knowledge, whatever it is. So you giving me the information based on your experience. All I can do is listen. I'm not about to listen to you and tell you what you just said was wrong because it's your experience. Not doing that. I just want to collect my data. Like, all right, man, I'm seeing okay, these sisters are saying this. These sisters are saying X, Y, and Z. These brothers are saying X, Y, and Z. I'm just listening. Don't mean I agree with anybody. Just listening though. I listen to a lot of people. I listen to a lot of religious folks. Don't necessarily mean I agree with them because I'm not religious, but I listen to them though. Got a lot of books written by religious folks, but I'm not reading it from a standpoint of I need to see what I can disagree with or I need to see what I agree with. No, empty the cup. I empty the cup before I read any and everything. I empty that cup before I read any and everything. I'm not reading from that biased standpoint. I'm not reading like even with health books. I'm not reading health books from like a nutrition book from my vegan standpoint. I gotta eliminate that. I gotta rid myself of that. That's the only way that you can actually confirm any type of truth. So when I read a nutrition book, it's like, nah, I'm not reading this nutrition book from a vegan standpoint, from the vegan that I am. Like, I'm not reading it from that standpoint. Like, nah, empty the cup. Empty the cup. That's the only way to take the best parts. Because if I read it from that vegan lens or through that vegan lens, it's like, man, that's gonna tamper with the quality of the information. That's gonna tamper with me being able to take anything away from that book or from that article, whatever the case may be. Because now I'm looking at it through a vegan lens, so anything that goes against veganism, I'm disagreeing. So all the stuff that's actually right and exact, I can't even see it now because I'm reading things through a vegan lens. So now I'm just reading it to try to disagree with some stuff. No, that's a terrible lens to read things through. So you got to eliminate all of the prejudices, all the biases, man, when you are coming across content. So eliminate it, man. Hey, don't worry. When you turn off the video, if I talk to you for 45 minutes, all I'm asking is for 45 minutes, turn off your prejudice, turn off your biases. Then once the 45 minutes is up, you can turn it back on. Or if you're reading something, if it take you 30 seconds to read something, all I'm saying is for 30 seconds, turn it off. Turn off your bias, man. Turn off that bias mentality. Turn it off for a second. For 30 seconds, turn it off. View the world through a neutral lens. You know what I'm saying? Empty the cup. There's nothing in that glass. Just pour it out for a second. Then when you done reading it, man, you can pour whatever it is you want to pour back into that cup. But for the time that you are actually reading what I have written or listening to what I'm saying, just empty it. I'm telling you, you're gonna be able to come to like the understanding is going to be listen, a lot more clarity is gonna come into your life when you view things like that, man. When you come from that standpoint and angle, like, all right, such and such is talking, let me eliminate any biases that I may have, any prejudices that I may have, and let me just simply listen. Be present in the moment when this person is talking. Let me be present. I'm telling you, a lot more clarity is gonna come from situations, man. You're gonna be able to fix a lot more. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be able to improve a lot more relationships and things like that. Relationships with yourself, relationships with other people when you operate from that level. Boom, peace, what's happening? Slick chicks for sure. 100%. So now we tapping into a more metaphysical type of bag. And y'all know back in the day, like I was all into the metaphysics. It ain't even back in the day, man. I still fool with it. Y'all know philosophy and things like that. My favorite subject matter, you know what I'm saying? So I still be tapped in. But we operating out of that bag right now because again, I feel like nowadays we tend to be overly stuck on the surface. And I feel like that's a part of the problem. We overly stuck on the surface, and this is why a lot of things are not getting solved. We overly stuck on the surface big time to the point where like I said, you will have listen, the war between this is why I say, even though I feel like it's a hypothetical situation, because even though I feel like a lot like these men are becoming more emotional than the women, that's a whole nother topic. But let's just hypothetically view it. This war between black men and black women, that's a war between what we would call the intellect, and that's a war between the emotional. The war between the intellect and the emotion. It's a war between the head and the heart. Because the man is supposed to be the head, woman is the heart. So that's what the war is between. You know what I'm saying? They have divided us up like that. So now we got a war between the mind, and we got a war between the head, and we got a war between the heart. It's a bad war. Doesn't end well for anybody and anything. Let's look at your body. You know what I'm saying? That will be a macroscopic outlook. Let's look at it microscopically. When your head and your heart are not in alignment, that can lead to disease. That can lead to stress. That not even can. It does lead to disease. It leads to stress. That's an imbalance. You know what I'm saying? These things have to coexist. These things have to be in alignment with one another. So that's the war right there. That's the metaphysical aspect of the war. In regards to the black community, we have a war between the head and the heart. And that's a big problem. The head and the heart need to be in alignment with one another, man. But we say, oh, women are too emotional. And then on the flip side, so when you say something like that, you making it seem like, oh, emotions are bad, or them dealing with the heart is bad. Like, no, it's not. The only reason why women being emotional right now is bad is because they disconnected from us. That's the only reason. See, they are supposed to pair those emotions with us on this side, the intellect, the head, the mind. That's what's supposed to happen. So now they just got their emotions over here running wild, and we have the intellect over here. We have the mind. We have that over here running wild. So all of these things are bad. So them being emotional is bad, but us being rational is just as bad because we supposed to pair. We're supposed to pair together. We supposed to balance each other out. So now when we just all we dealing with is intellect, logic, and being rational, where we don't have any balance. That's where they come into play with the emotions, with the heart, things like that, because that's just as important as the stuff that I named on this side. So that's the problem. That's the metaphysical problem that we have. So again, when y'all see the man versus woman, man, again, that's head versus heart. That's head versus heart. Ray, for sure. You already know. Kenyatta, you say people have tunnel vision too much to receive and apply this information. 100%. But we gonna continue to drop them jewels. Because if I just get one person to just listen, I'm doing my job. I'm doing my duty as a civilized person, as we like to say. Just get one person to just tap in and listen. You know, so we got more than one tapping in and listening. So we doing the job. Each one teach one. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, that's how I live. Like a lot of people tap into what I'm saying, but a lot of what I'm saying, I'm getting inspired via books, via life, encounters with other folks. I'm just sharing the experience. That's all that I'm ever doing. So again, I'm not out here preaching, like trying to tell y'all to follow the flock, follow what I'm saying, become a member of my congregation. Like, no, I'm not doing that. All I'm saying is, man, I came across something, I was inspired by it. Let me share it with y'all. You know, I came across this piece of information and I feel like it'll benefit you. Let me go ahead and share this with y'all. And it may not even be a benefit in that sense. It may just be like, I came across something interesting. I want y'all to think about it just to make the mind work, you know, because we done talked about the brain being a muscle. And if you don't use it, you lose it. So sometimes, man, I'm going to throw out something that just make you think. What I did yesterday was one of those, and it worked. It made people think. It made people type out some things like, hold up, let me type up a response. It got your mind wondering. You might not have been in that space before that. You might not have even been thinking on that level before that. You know, so it is what it is. You know, I'm striving. I just want to make people think. Start using that brain. Start using that mind. Like that's it. That's all I ever strive to do. Like that's literally it. Brian, exactly. Yeah, most definitely sparked the mind. Like that's all I'm striving to do, you know. So when I come up with something, again, like I have to explain this every time. When I come up with something, if I type something out and I try to add like disclaimers and things like that, it don't necessarily mean that this is something that this is my stance in life. Like, no, I came across something that I found was interesting and I want to share it. You know, so a lot of people may hear something that I not even hear something. They may see something that I've typed, and they may make it seem like this is something that I stand on. No, I will let y'all know if it's something that I stand on. Yeah, I will let y'all know that. But if I'm reading something, I will say that. I will say, man, I came across something and I found it interesting. That's already eliminating me from that situation. You know what I'm saying? I said I came across something and I found it interesting. So that's how you need to view it. You need to view it simply as I came across something that I found was interesting. That's it. You know, but again, we complicate things. You say, oh, if he typed this up, that means he agrees with it. Or that means he agrees with it. No, it's not what it means. Not what it means at all. But y'all, with that being said, man, I ain't have much time today, man. I ain't want to get on here and go too crazy with it. I still got some things to do, man, stuff to tap into, man. So I want to make this brief, man. I just wanted to elaborate on that post I made last night. Hopefully, this brought forth some clarity, man. But I'm gonna let y'all enjoy the rest of y'all Sunday, man. I'm gonna try to tap in with y'all again tomorrow for sure. Y'all be easy out here though. I'm out. Peace.